Welcome, everyone. I can see people joining us today. Welcome and apologies for a minor delay. We had an audio issue to sort out, and we're happy to say that it's all done. Once again, a warm welcome to this GGP-connect Insight and Impact webinar. My name is Ignacio Pardo. I am the Research Infrastructure Manager of the Generations and Gender Program. And I'm really happy today to welcome Ignacio Pardo from the Universidad De La República in Uruguay, who's going to be our guest today and give a talk about the GGS Round 2 database in Uruguay and share a few first insights and debates around the process and use of the data in his country. So a quick reminder that the updated GGP-connect Insight and Impact webinar series is aimed at encouraging GGP partner teams to showcase their valuable experiences and insights in collecting and using the GGS-II data, especially in connection to the relationship building and connections with stakeholders at different walks of life. So this effort is essentially aimed at making sure that the global GGP experience can be leveraged at the local level by our partners. Before giving the floor to Ignacio, I just want to share a few housekeeping points for this webinar. The important bit is that this webinar is being recorded. So if you received an invite to be upgraded to a panelist, please bear in mind that if you accept and use your camera, you are going to be recorded both in video and audio. Also, for questions, Ignacio, I'm sure, is going to be accepting and inviting questions. You can use Q&A bar for this, or you can later on ask your question yourself by raising a hand. So I think that's it. Without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Ignacio, and it's all yours. Looking forward to your insights, Ignacio.
Hi, Vitenis and everybody. It's great to see you and to see lots of friends participating of this seminar. I will be quite brief. A lot of you know some of the main points about the GGS in Uruguay, and I will go quickly to the news. The news is how we are using the database to produce evidence, whether research evidence in academia or applied research for public policies. We have many news on that, luckily. So I'm gonna share a few slides, and I will tell you from there. Please tell me if you are seeing the whole thing.
Yes, if you can make it full screen, I think we're ready to go. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, okay. Well, so as I said, this is more like a brief report of the context of Uruguay, the GGS here, and how we are using data. So I will tell you a little bit about how things are going concerning demographic change and the public debate on the issues that the survey touches in Uruguay. Very quickly then, the process of the GGS with a database that's available since last year, and the use of the database last year and this year also in all those dimensions that I told you about. Then maybe the more fruitful part of it is that we can discuss the way forward and answer questions about whatever you want to talk about on where we are going from now on. Okay? So in Uruguay, there's been a extensive and very deep demographic change, mainly family change from the 90s. Research in academia shows that many of that transformations that took place in the global north countries, mainly that are understood with the framework of the second demographic transition, are already here, as they are in many countries from the south. But at the same time, we need evidence that might help us understand the peculiarities of the process, maybe going beyond the framework of the second demographic transition, or discussing that framework, or discussing the most usual explanations, because demographic change in Uruguay, as in many countries of the region, is mainly marked by socioeconomic inequality to an extent that doesn't exist, for example, in European countries. And that's a structural background for understanding change in maybe every dimension, in family arrangements and well-being, in the intergenerational relationships, in a population that's already aging, in terms of gender equity, in terms of union dissolutions and remarriage patterns, in terms of how complex households are getting here, in terms of fertility as well. So the themes of the survey connect very well with all the discussion here in Uruguay, and those data were very much needed a long time before we could get the survey done. Maybe the most the most impressive feature of demographic change is Uruguay getting to lowest low fertility levels in a very short period, in just 5 or 6 years, because we had a TFR of 1.9 in 2016, and now, at least last year, it was 1.3. So we are trying to understand all those transformations, but mainly the connection between fertility, gender equity, care tasks, and fertility decline within family change. We call that the big decline. So we are hoping that the GGS will help us understand how this happened so quickly. This is fertility in Uruguay. Some of you already know this trend, but it's quite impressive when you see it from the last 5 years till now. And today I woke up, it's 9:15 here, and we have the preliminary data for last year, and fertility went down again. So data is it's available, but we haven't already seen it. At first glance, it seems like it went down again. So now total fertility rate for last year data is 1.2. So we are needing to understand that more than we assume until last year, because the process is of an ongoing decline. Okay? And at the same time, all these changes got a lot of public debate going on, as in many countries. This is no news for this audience, but as in many countries, the government started to say that they are worried about these fertility levels, and they are discussing about potential policies, but they are discussing in a way that it's not clear yet if they are thinking about pronatalists or conciliation policies. So I guess GGS data might be helpful to produce what quality evidence to discuss this, and hopefully to go for the right kind of policies. The government said last year that a group of experts or something like that is going to be formed. So, well, nothing like that happened yet, but we are hoping that the best quality evidence will be available in part thanks to the GGS, and that we might go for some kind of conciliation policies instead of just plain pronatalist ones. But that's just an opinion. Let's see what happens. But it's very relevant to have the GGS data in this context, right? So the GGS is available since last year. The fieldwork ended in December of 22. And in May last year, we had a public event launching the database. That was quite a success in terms of how many people took contact with the data. Some of you already know this too, but just a quick reminder of what we did. We had a brochure with dissemination material with some results in every dimension of the survey, and a web, of course, with these contents. So we could disseminate the word that the database was ready to use. We had some media repercussion as well. Of course, media found attractive the questions on how did you meet your partner, because that was the funniest one. But also other results were took by the media, and that helped us to spread the word that the database was ready. So we had a database. We needed people to know, researchers and public in general, to know that the database was available. But we also thought that more incentives were needed to get the researchers use the data. So with one of our funders, the Inter-American Development Bank, we set a price for best research articles, short articles, but based on the Uruguayan GGS. We offered an economic price, but also the participation in a book that would take the best articles to print there. And this is already done. We have the winners. We will publish 4 articles based on the GGS later this year. I want you to know the themes, so you have an idea of what dimensions are going to be analyzed there. We have one on social class analysis and domestic work and care tasks, studying the correlation between all that by social class. We have another one on the intergenerational transmission of gender norms and women in the labor market. That's a very interesting approach that tries to understand in what sense the transmission of gender norms makes more probable or less probable to have women in the labor market, in the paid work. We have another one on online dating and assortative mating. That's also part of a comparative research article, because it takes Uruguay, but also Estonia and the Czech Republic. And we have a last one on satisfaction with the couple in Uruguay. So we are quite satisfied that we have at least some of the main issues and dimensions of the survey that were part of research, and that are going to be published in a book that will compile this. Secondly, we have been using the GGS for applied research. We're quite happy with this as well. The context is that a social intervention, a social program that was trying to understand how personal assistance to children with disabilities in a school might be implemented, asked part of our team, specifically Santiago Pelufo and Gabriela Pedetti, to sort of frame this, the situation of households with children and youth with disabilities, and understand how care tasks and domestic life and general well-being on these households differ from those without children or young people with disabilities, to understand the whole background in which people might need assistance for those children in school. This program is going to be executed in Uruguay by the Inter-American Development Bank, and in the context of the Ministry of Social Development of the country. And this applied research project helped to at least frame the context and give some evidence to help this intervention be designed. So we are happy that all that we say before we got the GGS done, that there could be some applied research that could be useful for public policies and so on. It's finally coming to reality, and it's going on. So we were very happy about this project as well. And in the third place, we have thesis dissertations going on using GGS data back to academia. And this is master's and PhD thesis, maybe mainly in demography. We have at least 4, but we might have some others too. I also wanted to show you the main themes, so you can have a general panorama of what's going on there. There are also quite a lot of different issues in those theses. One of them, it's on the distribution of unpaid work at home and the correlation with reproductive intentions of couples. We have another one on the determinants of paternal involvement in the case of non-co-resident fathers. We have a third one on the effect of intergenerational educational mobility on reproductive decision making on women. And we have a last one on work-family conciliation and care strategies in the case of working women with small children. So a lot on reproductive decision making and a lot of work-family conciliation, and quite a lot on family change and the well-being of children as well, and on gender equity. This, I guess, is a first step because we have all this academic work quite a bit concentrated on demography, doctoral and master programs, but I guess that the work will be even more broadly spread, and we will have also theses from sociology or economy going on in the next years, because GGS data, and particularly from Uruguay, when we are lacking quality data, it's important for many disciplines, and not just demography, but it kind of started in demography masters and PhDs. So there's quite a lot going on in many different aspects, in applied research, in research in academia as well. And we are looking forward to keep up with this work, with the spreading the news that the GGS is there for people to use. So for this year, and maybe the next one, we will have more thesis, maybe using the GGS data, because right now some of that students, at least demography ones that are the ones that I know, are deciding the probable use of GGS for their research. We have also some research papers underway, mostly on family change, but also on other issues. And we are, of course, quite excited to have more comparative research. We are thinking about comparing some of the most important family change dimensions between Montevideo and Buenos Aires, because as many of you know, there's a GGS Buenos Aires, not Argentina, but Buenos Aires. So maybe there's a comparison that can be made between the two capital cities of Uruguay and Argentina. But also, of course, we are looking forward to do more extensive cross-country comparisons with GGS data, as we saw with the online dating and associative mating research that compared Uruguay with Czech Republic and Estonia. So we are very much available to think about research that compares Uruguay with other GGS countries. So I guess that's all. Thanks a lot, and I'm very much available to keep on discussing those issues. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ignacio. Really, first of all, congratulations on all this hard work, and actually, more importantly, all this hard work bringing so much fruit to you. So understandably, that's something to be proud of. So once again, thanks for sharing all this with us. Colleagues who are online now, have you already thought of some questions that you could pose to Ignacio? And to do that, you could either use the Q&A tab on top of the screen or raise your hand and ask the question yourself. I think people might still be coming up with questions, and that's, yeah, Anne, please.
Hi, Ignacio. Nice, very nice work indeed that you did. That I think it's provide a lot of inspiration as what other countries could do. So well done. My question is: we know that the GGS is particularly complex data set, and I'm impressed that you were able to convince master students, especially, to use it in your studies. So is it that you've helped them take in a subset of variables, for example, to a bit simplify their life, or do you think that this is a data set that can be relatively easily used by master students?
Well, I guess the answer to that is that they are mostly our students here at the university. So we are teaching the GGS as well, and the possibilities that it opens. But at the same time, I think it's not that hard to use. I guess that other master students that weren't exposed to all that GGS publicity as our students in demography might also find it quite easy to use. Sometimes the whole process to ask for the database can be long, and some of them should be encouraged to keep up waiting for the database and then have a first contact with the data that might need some little help from us. But that was all. Then the work went on with the students by themselves. So I guess that maybe it's a little bit of help and guidance, and that's all. Then things went quite easily for them.
Thanks. That's very useful to know. Thank you.
A bit of a follow-up on Anne's question on my end. Did I understand it correctly that you also teach GGS within your classes to your students?
Yeah, I mean, teach in a sense that we are like trying to give publicity to to the GGS, saying that this is there and that they would benefit a lot from using that data source, and maybe showing some tricks, but that's also not a course on the GGS, but just publicity for the database.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you. Sounds really good. Laurent, have you got a question?
But Vitenis, I heard of some professors in economy, at least one, that were trying to get the GGS database to be part of a course on statistics. So just to tell the student that that was the official database from some of the exercises. I don't know if this already happened, but of course I said that that was a great idea. So I hope that maybe this year that will happen, but I don't know it.
Amazing. That sounds really good.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I think now my microphone is on. Hello, Ignacio. First, congratulations for disseminating your data. And my question was on whether you are aware of scholars using your data, eventually collaborating with you, coming from other continents than Latin America, or you spoke of collaboration with Argentina. Do you think that there are specific questions to Latin America, or I saw the themes of the masters or the thesis could be, well, the issues could be also raised in other countries. So are you aware, that's my question, are you aware of some users using your data and eventually collaborating with you? Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Lauren. No, I'm not aware of a lot of researchers already using the Uruguayan data. I saw in Warsaw that some of the presenters, mainly from the GGP, were already digging into the data for some preliminary figures. But then, no, not yet. We are planning to use this data in a project about low fertility in Korea, Spain, and Uruguay. I saw Teresa Martin there in the participants, so that's one of our colleagues in the project, and we might use GGS data for Uruguay there, and I guess a lot more of opportunities for collaboration will appear. But so far, that's a potential project with Buenos Aires, and maybe this with Spain and Korea. Well, but we are very much open to think about other opportunities as well.
Sounds good. Thank you for the question and for the answer. Any more questions from the audience today? Please be reminded that you can ask the questions by raising your hand or using the Q&A. And I do see a question coming from Lynn at NEDI, one of the people working for the GGP. The question reads, Ignacio, could you say a bit more about how you raised interest and awareness for the competition to have articles based on the Uruguayan GGS published in the upcoming book? Also, what were the incentives used?
Mm-hmm. Well, we were benefit from being a small country and from knowing like everyone everywhere. For example, it's quite easy to get to the media to disseminate this, this might be not that easy in bigger countries. We are very much aware of that, but here it's quite easy. And the whole university and the whole academia world, it's quite small. So the informal contacts work a lot. So we got this on the web, on the Twitter and Facebook and wherever, but also say that a lot to colleagues and try to disseminate the word like that. The incentives were economic for the first places of the prize. Not a lot of money, but $1,000. So that helped, I guess, for example, to graduate students that were happy to do some research and also have the chance to earn some money, but also the publication of the book. I guess it was an incentive for graduate students mainly, because they were starting to do some research, and also, if things went well, got that published in a moment of their careers where they didn't have that much publications themselves. So that I guess worked quite a bit. But we also had researchers, not that young researchers, that got excited about the data and that sent their own research articles. So the only ones that were, of course, forbidden to get into the prize was our team and our near research teams. But there were a lot of other professors and researchers from the same university, from other faculties, for example, that could participate. So the word spread quite quickly.
Sounds good and comprehensive, if I can say. Thanks. Any more questions? Actually, we do have time for one more question. If you do have a pressing question, that's the right moment to ask it, or is it never?
There's a question from Anne in the chat as well. She says, it says politicians often want a quick fix to their perceived problems. The GGS does provide rich insights into fertility decisions and fertility preferences, but not necessarily quick fixes to the low fertility problem. How open would they be to listen to you?
Well, let me tell you that group of experts that the government might be forming, it might not include us, because they will suspect, I guess, that we are not that into the quick solution or pronatalist plain solution for the problem, maybe between quotes, of low fertility. So they might not be very open, but I'm sure that is one of our responsibilities to take the voice anyway and try to present the best available evidence, and to say that, for example, in terms of low fertility and policies addressing that issue, we have a lot of evidence from other countries, and we might already know what works and what doesn't, and what is more or less into the reproductive rights framework and what is not. And I guess that we have a role to play there, whether they listen to us a lot of not that much, because I guess that we as researchers of this issue have a role on public debate, not just like counseling politicians or talking directly to authorities, but spreading the debate that it's a quite heated debate, as you know, in many countries, but also here right now, because TFR is 1.2. So a lot of people said, oh, this should be a problem to address now. And this is where we can, we can take into public debate the evidence on other countries and the evidence on Uruguay and on reproductive decision-making to understand the whole process and to understand what's going on and not take every perceived quick solution to that. But let's see what happened. I guess that this news that appeared today on the 1.2 TFR of last year will spark debate, and we will have a couple of weeks or months with this going on a lot on media and on public debate.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. And I think this officially concludes our today's GGP-connect Insight and Impact webinar. And once again, a big thank you goes to Ignacio Pardo for sharing his insights into GGS Uruguay. And thank you everyone who attended the webinar today and for all your questions and all the debate that we had afterwards.